Welcome to New Life Community Church. I'm so glad you've chosen to celebrate our 10th anniversary with us. It's been a privilege the last 10 years to pastor this great congregation and to see what God has done and is doing in the life of this church. The psalmist said, the Lord has done this and it's marvelous in our eyes, and that's so true. Over the next number of videos, you're going to hear stories about the history of two different churches and some about the history of this church. And I hope as you hear their stories and their testimonies, you'll understand about the faithfulness and appreciate the goodness of God to us. Thank you so much for being a part of our history, a part of our present, and hopefully, I trust, you'll be a part of our future. The Lord bless you.
We started at the West End Revival Center, which later became West End Revival Temple, and then later became Crossroads Cathedral. And then we journeyed through with all of them until we came to come together with New Life Community Church.
And we began with BPC from the very earliest days.
Well, I started here, this is going to tell my age, but I started here when I was at the old West End. It was in the fire hall in St. Clair, and I was 2.5 years old when I started going there. So that was a lot of years ago. That would have been 1965. And it's been a long, wonderful journey. This is my family, this is my community, and this is where I met the love of my life. We raised our kids. We have quite a journey through the years with West End, and then turning into Crossroads Cathedral, and now with New Life Community Church.
We were part of Rankin Pentecostal Church, which goes back to 1985. We came to the second service. We were part of the second service, and at that time we were just dating.
It was at Wilfers Lake Community Center.
Yeah, that's right, and we were part of the youth group, which turned into the college and careers group at the time. Eventually we got married.
When we came and walked into the church, I felt the Spirit of God. His presence was so thick and so good, and I remember thinking, wow, God is in this place.
We moved to the Castlemore area in 2011 February, and we were looking for a church home which was near to where we live. We had gone to a number of churches in Brampton and some out of Brampton, but we decided to try New Life, and that's how we started.
And we thought that this church provided the correct balance for the family. So this, that we found a pot of gold here.
Well, we found New Life to be very welcoming for us. It's a church that has great cultural diversity. It's something that we value in a congregation, and we were certainly impressed by the cultural diversity and the openness to other cultures that the church has, and
it became a time where it wasn't just a church family. They became like family and friends all through the years that we all got together and raised our children together. Some of the highlights too was our couples retreats. We would have so much time there. It was a bonding time. We'd get to know other couples, and of course as a result of that we'd visit to each other's homes, and that would be one thing. And then of course we would always have women's retreats every spring. So we would rent buses and go to Niagara Falls to a retreat, and like I say, it was where we really got to know one another and have a time of fellowship. We always came back refreshed. And as we came together with New Life in regards to memories, it just meant that our family was extended. We met so many people that we just fell in love with, and they became great friends, and still great friends. We still connect now and then, and I just thank God because He's made our family bigger. Through the years we had met in many different locations for the church, but it was later years when we were looking for a church building. and the church decided that they would be joining with Brampton Pentecostal Church. So of course it had to be a vote, and it was a very hard time for both Charlie and I, because we knew what that would mean. Yet we knew that it was the right thing for the people, because most of the people were from Brampton area, and we just felt that's what God would have us do. But yet, like I say, because of the distance, we knew that it would mean that we would probably have to leave our family and our church family, which was very hard. But we prayed about it, and we prayed and we said, like, God, this is your plan and your will, and that's where we want to be. And so I remember the day that they said they were actually, everything was settled and we were moving, and we both sat in church and we both had tears in our eyes, and not knowing how in the world we were ever going to leave our family. So then Charlie said to me, well, it's not something we have to do right away. And so I said, okay. So we said we'd go for a little bit, just while we, till everything got pulled together. And we did that, and needless to say, it was 3 years before we just knew that God would have us move on, because the traffic got just too much. Sometimes it was an hour and a half to get to church. So we knew, and we prayed about it, and we had a peace. And but we're so thrilled to see how God led and guided the people of Brampton Pentecostal and Crossroads together to become New Life, and we've been thrilled with the results that we've been hearing from there.
At Loafers Lake. Some of the meetings at Loafers Lake, and we went through the Moses through the wilderness of every Sunday being in a different location.
And every place, God was with us. God was there, His presence, His anointing. Once a month, at the end of the evening service, we would have fellowship night where everybody brought food, and of course, you know, Christians and food and fellowship developed friendships.
And then there was the fellowship before and after the service of setting up the equipment, taking down the equipment. The presence of the Holy Spirit was very strong, and I remember Sunday nights nobody wanted to go home.
Yeah.
It was the lingering. And we had the challenges of trying to develop a church and eventually wanting to own a building, to have someplace permanent to worship in where we could start to minister to the community. That was always, everybody talked about that all the time. We didn't want a church building for the sake of a building. It was a goal to be a center to reach out to the community, to show the love of God to Brampton. And that was really the goal. 10 years, so much has happened, so much of the promises have been fulfilled, but I believe there's more to come. We're grateful for God's faithfulness. We can look back, and there's parts of this land where we used to have our church picnics and meetings in the old farmhouse.
Oh, the corn roasts.
The corn roasts, but surrounded by the corn, and you look around and you'd never believe that was here.
Yeah, that's true.
So let me start first by saying that it's been the church has a rich history, and there's been many great days. There's been some good days and maybe some not so good days, but through it all, we find that this church has been resilient and have come through a lot of difficult times. I came to this church back in 1975. I came to the city, and I had family that attended this church. But back in those days, a lot of people came from the East Coast, and it was a church, very much a spiritual setting, but also a very much sense of community.
I remember we had a lot of fun. we had a lot of fun in church. As couples, we made some amazing friendships that to this day are still here. And you know, we did church together, but we had fun together. And it was through those moments of laughter and having fun that that God really built and strengthened the relationships there. That we went through hard times, we had that community, we had the friends, the family that we needed, you know, to get through those hard times. And I remember the presence of God just always being there. When you walk into church, the presence of God was there. And you know, a lot of great, wonderful memories, even through the hard times. We would, you know, you don't want to go back. We want to go back and have to walk through some of those things, but they've made us who we are as a people, as a church. It's brought us to where we are today.
There's been a lot of transition years, or I guess days over the past years, from West End, I guess, Revival Center on Queens Drive to where we are today. And I think some of the things that we look back at is the resilience of the people. And some of the, our Sundays would begin probably at 6 a.m. Sunday mornings. Many of the guys would go and pick up the truck and go set up at Paradise Convention Center. And some guys would drive vans to pick up people at Gina Finch. They'd come back, and they would, after service, would pack up the truck and take it over to Woodbridge, go for a quick lunch, go back and then set up again in the school in Woodbridge for the evening service. And after the evening service, we would pack the truck back up and take it back to what we called the church house. So there were some days that took some devotion and long days, but you know, through it all, it was worth it all. I think a sense of community is very important to us. You know, we have large families, and you know, family is important, and you know, the church is like a family. And the sense of you know, friendships that are around church, and you know, the support you get from when you're going through difficult times, or you know, even times when you need you know, a word of encouragement. You know, there's somebody there that would bring that to you. So I think you only get that when you have a relationship with people and you know what they're going through. And I think that's very important for us, and that's carried on over the years and into today. We still feel a strong bond or friendships that are built, and a great sense of community in this church.
Just wanted to share, as we were preparing for this 10th anniversary, you know, looking back and reflecting on how we came together, and realizing that even through this, we were talking about the history of two great churches with rich history, and realizing how awesome God has been in bringing the two churches together, and that after 10 years now, going into our 11th year, we're not two churches anymore. We're one church. And as though at the beginning it was two churches, but over the years, I mean, some of our, I think, strongest and amazing relationships have come through the merging of the two churches. And I know for our kids, the youth group that was connected through that time, there are just amazing lifetime friendships that have happened through that. And I think we had so much in common, and I think it really was a God thing as we look back. And I do remember going to the first women's retreat that Sandra Ralph had led, and it was very intentional to connect the women. And I remember Kathy Tilley, myself, and Lois McKenzie and Connie Nyhold sitting in our hotel room, sitting on the floor late at night in our jammies, just telling stories and talking about the history and the things we've walked through as a church and the things we've gone through. And we sat there, and it was a really emotional moment for us, because we realized we had a lot in common, and realized that is, you know, God really knew what He was doing when He brought this church together. And it was a very special, I think, time for us through that, reconnecting, making new friendships, building new relationships. And you know, we love our church. We love our church, what it is today. The history, yes, it's a great part, but the church that we are today, that is what we're celebrating.
And the one thing that never changed in all the years was the vision and the purpose that God had for not only this land, but for this ministry, whatever name is on it. And that ministry and that vision we have seen unfold over the years. Has it been easy? Absolutely not. Has it been exciting and thrilling? Absolutely.
And against so many obstacles and so many people saying this would never be built, the church Dayspring would never be finished, to see what was the original vision being fulfilled all these years later, to see all these buildings go up and people living here, seeing this church be built, extensions being added, now we're in the Connection campaign, moving forward and still keeping so much to the original plan of the vision that God gave the people of BPC at that time is just amazing. To be a part of that, it's a privilege to be a part of it.
And I remember a conversation that Pastor Bob took me aside one day and he said, listen, he said, there's another church that thinking about maybe joining us. What do you think? And I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be phenomenal.
Sure. But at that time, there probably were not many people in the church.
No, we had gone through some extremely difficult times.
Yeah.
And so when all of a sudden the news came that another church that would be interested, because they were going through some issues as well.
And maybe the two churches would blend really well together.
Wow. Let's see what God has in store. And as we met with the board of Crossroads and with POC representatives, it became abundantly clear that God's plans were much bigger than we could have ever dreamed or imagined. And it has been an amazing journey to see two churches come together. And it's probably no stretch to think at this point that there are probably as many, if not more, people
so many new people
that are here today, which is a real testament.
And people finding Christ for the first time. Something that I brought with me that hangs on our fridge to this day. It's a cutout from an old BPC bulletin. So it's been on our fridge for something probably going on 30 years now, and with every new fridge, it travels with it because it has to hang there. It's such a part of our family's life and has been. And it's a promise from the Lord of what He gave us at that time for just believing in what would happen here on this land.
And it's as relevant today as it was back then.
Absolutely. And we're seeing God's promise fulfilled through it. And it's from Habakkuk. It's chapter 2, verse 3. And it says, "But these things I plan won't happen right away. Slowly, steadily, surely the time approaches when the vision will be fulfilled. If it seems slow, do not despair, for these things will surely come to pass. Just be patient. They will not be overdue a single day." And this was a promise that the Lord gave us as a church to continue to believe and be faithful that no matter what the delays, no matter what would happen out here and the time it would take, He would fulfill His promise. And we're seeing that still happen. And it's not finished yet.
It's barely begun. And there's no doubt. And these buildings, they won't be empty. They are going to be full.
First couple of months or the first year, I was attending occasionally. And then the following year, I got baptized. And then a few months after that, I became a member. I was just a new believer, and I was looking for knowledge, for tools. I was looking to learn more about God and to, I guess, grow as a believer, grow as a Christian. The first thing that I saw is that everybody is very friendly and loving and warm, and a lot of opportunities for me to get plugged in one ministry or the other. And So I think personally to me, that has made a very big impact on my life. The Bible teaches us, actually in Philippians, it talks about that God is faithful to perfect us. Some translations say to bring everything to completion. And as I see where the church has been, and I wasn't here at the very beginning, but I can say for the last 7, 8 years, the way that we have been getting, the way we have been growing, and the way that we have been getting involved in our community and in our city. I think that this is just the beginning of amazing things, and He is faithful to complete the work that He started. And I think if we continue to be sensitive to His Spirit and follow His leading, it's going to be amazing. What's going to happen in 10, 20, 50 years? What kind of impact we as a church will have on our neighborhoods, on our neighbors, on our city, and everyone who comes in contact with us.
Our first visit to New Life was one of fun, and for some reason the children got attracted to New Life. Our son BJ came out and said, "Mom and Dad, can we come back?" We had no choice as parents. In fact, they chose before us to come to New Life.
Church that is friendly, welcoming, and our kids love them. We eventually grow into this love relationship with the church. We really appreciate the work of the leadership of the church.
At the end of church on Sundays, I'm looking forward already to coming back next Sunday.
Impressed by that. The other thing that drew us here was the growth that was taking place, and the opportunity for growth as well for us as a family spiritually. There's opportunities for growth as adults. There are opportunities for growth as a family in terms of the children, the young people, tweens. So we were glad when we found a church that focused on spiritual growth and was true to the Bible and the teachings of the Bible. Yeah, we went through as a family recently a crisis where I was going through chemo treatment. I was diagnosed with cancer, and there was a long journey we went through with chemo and radiation. And it's amazing the support we got from the church, and not just the leadership of the church, but people in the congregation as well. We felt a tremendous amount of caring support. The prayer support was amazing. It pulled us through. And I just want to say thank you, New Life. It meant a lot to us. I'm cancer-free today, thank God. And you made a big impact in our lives during that time. Thank you. Happy anniversary, New Life. There are many more years to go. Should Christ tarry, I'm looking forward to the journey together.
And on behalf of Charlie and I, we both want to wish New Life a happy 10th anniversary. And we know that God has so much more in store for you.
Happy anniversary, New Life.
Happy anniversary, New Life.
Happy anniversary, New Life.
Happy anniversary, New Life.
Happy anniversary, New Life.